Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Law Society of Hong Kong's webinar on Greater Bay Area Development. I am CM Chan, President of the Law Society of Hong Kong. With delight, the webinar received a very favorable response from over 330 legal practitioners around the world. Just come in the figures, I was told that over 180 participants from overseas, 150 from Hong Kong and China. Altogether, we have 19 different jurisdictions, the participants from 19 different jurisdictions. So this is my pleasure to welcome you all today. Comprising the 9 mainland cities in China, namely Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Zhuhai, Fushan, Huizhou, Dongguan, Zhongshan, Jiangmen, Chongqing, and the special administrative regions of Hong Kong and Macau, the Guangdong Hong Kong Macau Greater Bay Area, GBA in short, is a collaborative initiative aiming at reform and opening up initiated by the central government back in 2017. With a combined population of over 86 million and a GDP of US dollars 1.67 trillion as at the end of 2020, the region is well positioned to play a leading role in advanced manufacturing, technology and innovation, transportation, trade and finance. The significant growth of the GBA has created vast opportunities for professional talents, especially legal practitioners. To help legal practitioners, especially those from the overseas jurisdictions, gain a clearer understanding of this vital and dynamic initiative and to better prepare for its growth and opportunities, we are pleased to have prominent speakers from the government body as well as the business and legal sector, sharing with us their valuable views from different perspectives today. Before we begin, may I remind you to refer to the chat message posted by the Law Society Secretariat for detailed instructions regarding the Zoom webinar functions. So without further ado, may I now first invite Dr. Jimmy Chang, Associate Director General of Investment Promotion, Business Development Group of Invest Hong Kong, to share with us Invest Hong Kong's work on GBA and the role of Hong Kong in the GBA. Dr. Jiang, please.
Thank you, President Chan. Let me share my screen with everybody. I hope you can all see it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. It's my great pleasure to participate in this GBA webinar organized by the Law Society of Hong Kong on behalf of Invest Hong Kong. Thanks again to the Law Society for having us. Invest Hong Kong is the government department dedicated to supporting foreign companies in setting up their business operations in Hong Kong. And as you can imagine, the GBA development is becoming an increasingly important selling point for us to attract FDI to Hong Kong from the global market. In the next 10 minutes, I would like to share with you, number one, what Invest Hong Kong has been doing in terms of promoting the GBA. Number two, the specific roles played by Hong Kong in the GBA development. And three, some specific business opportunities arising from the GBA policy measures recently announced. To start with, the Chief Executive 2020 policy address has given Invest Hong Kong a new task, that is to establish the Pan-GBA Inward Investment Liaison Group with other GBA cities. The objective of this liaison group is for all GBA cities to collaborate with each other in promoting the GBA globally for attracting FDI through developing joint sales messages, conducting joint promotional events, formulating joint propositions, and sharing best practices. To achieve this important task, we already set up a new dedicated GBA business development team in April this year. And over the last few months, we have been communicating closely with the Guangdong Department of Commerce and Macau Trade and Investment Promotion Institute, doing the necessary preparation work for the formation of the liaison group. And I'm pleased to share with you that we are going to conduct the first official strategic level meeting of the liaison group at the end of this month. Meanwhile, our GBA team has also been working on a number of promotional events for the rest of the year, targeting those markets such as Japan, Europe, and ASEAN. And our team has also created a dedicated website sharing GBA information most relevant to business investors. Our team also regularly publishes thought leadership articles on LinkedIn, so please do follow us on LinkedIn to access our GBA updates. Invest Hong Kong currently has presence in 31 locations outside Hong Kong, and you're certainly welcome to get in touch with our overseas and mainland colleagues to exchange business ideas and explore collaboration opportunities. And also based in our head office here, our sector specialist teams can provide more industry-specific support for our foreign investors. And they're grouped under 3 clusters, one focusing on innovation and technology and startups, one on professional services, financial services, and fintech, and one on lifestyle and creative industries. And how do we support foreign companies? We offer them a wide range of support services from the planning stage all the way through to business launch and expansion. For example, provision of market information, support on office search and recruitment, facilitation on license and visa applications, introductions of service providers and business partners, publicity support on business launch, etc., all free of charge. Coming next, Hong Kong specific roles. First of all, the National 14th Five-Year Plan mentions that China will adopt a dual circulation strategy to develop its economy by building a strong domestic market, while at the same time maintaining international trade and investment. In this case, Hong Kong is expected to facilitate international circulation for the country even more by channeling investments from overseas into the mainland and from mainland to overseas, thereby strengthening Hong Kong's role as an investment conduit between China and the world. The 14th Five-Year Plan also mentions the support for high-quality development in the GBA and has raised its support for the first time for Hong Kong in a few new areas, including supporting Hong Kong as an international aviation hub, an international innovation and technology hub, a regional intellectual property trading center, as well as a hub for arts and cultural exchanges between China and the rest of the world. And arguably, Hong Kong is the best gateway for international companies to access the GBA. Why? First of all, Hong Kong has an excellent location in Asia and great connectivity with the world. Secondly, Hong Kong's institution is well supported by one country, two systems. Our economic freedom, common law legal system, and banking and financial systems are very strong and always valued by our international investors. Thirdly, Hong Kong has a very competitive and simple tax regime. Corporate income tax in Hong Kong is only 16.5%. Now, for the first 2 million Hong Kong dollars of your profits, you pay only 8.25% tax. And Hong Kong has no VAT, no GST, no tax on dividend, interest, or capital gain, no global taxation, no estate duty, and basically no import tax as well. So it's very easy. For international companies, Hong Kong can perform a few different functions. First of all, Hong Kong can be your regional headquarters. Hong Kong can also be a very convenient launchpad for you to access the huge B2C and B2B markets in the GBA, the whole of China, and the rest of Asia. Hong Kong can be an R&D center with many top universities and talents here. Hong Kong can also be a fundraising center, being the biggest IPO center in the world 7 times in the last 12 years. Now, the leading group for GBA development has so far introduced 24 policy measures. Here, I'm just highlighting a few more important and business-related ones and discuss how they may be translated into exact business opportunities. On innovation and technology, the Shenzhen-Hong Kong INT Cooperation Zone is a big initiative in the GBA. This zone is partly located in Shenzhen and Hong Kong. On the Hong Kong side, a new tech park is now being built called the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park at Lok Ma Chau Loop. After completion, it will be 4 times bigger than our existing science park in the new territories, and will certainly attract a lot of top-notch tech companies and R&D institutes to set up over there. And we are now expecting the first batch of 8 buildings to be completed in phases between 2024 and 2027. Also, with a fast-growing middle class and mass affluent segment in the GBA, the demand for quality wealth management services is rising quickly. That's why this new policy measure about Wealth Management Connect scheme is highly significant. It allows mainland residents in the GBA to purchase financial products offered by banks in Hong Kong and vice versa. The scheme is just officially launched, and the pilot program is having an aggregate trading quota of 150 billion RMB for each of southbound and northbound. The investment ceiling per person is being set at 1 million RMB. The scheme will certainly benefit our financial services industry and attract even more international players to Hong Kong. It will also strengthen Hong Kong's unique position as an offshore RMB center. On the other hand, there are also policy measures related to the business and professional services sector, providing more opportunities for our local companies and practitioners. On the legal side, you probably know better than I, Hong Kong and mainland law firms can now form partnership associations in the mainland. Hong Kong lawyers can also practice in the GBA after obtaining the relevant professional qualifications. On architecture and engineering, Hong Kong companies can directly provide services in the GBA. It will be also easier for them to set up companies in the mainland and the GBA. For construction, Hong Kong professionals can more easily practice in the mainland in the future. Now, the central government has recently promulgated a plan for comprehensive deepening reform and opening up of the Qianhai-Shenzhen-Hong Kong Modern Service Industry Cooperation Zone, and also the plan for the development of the Guangdong-Macau Intensive Cooperation Zone in Hangqin. These initiatives will provide further support for high-quality development in the GBA, and more importantly, more business opportunities for Hong Kong-based companies, especially those operating in the business and professional services sector, to expand their mainland businesses. So just to sum up, Hong Kong is still being very robust as an international business center, despite the challenges that we are facing, especially the pandemic. But we are very keen to support more foreign companies in capturing these exciting opportunities in the GBA through Hong Kong, and also to collaborate closely with local and overseas legal practitioners for win-win. So if there's anything Invest Hong Kong can support you, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chiang, for your very informative presentation. I actually have a lot of questions to ask you, but I will let the questions Q&A session later on. And may I remind the audience, if you have any questions, please make use of the chat box. I've already seen that a legal friend from Zimbabwe has left a message. So very international outlook of our audience today. So do make use of the chat room, ask your questions. So our second speaker for today, Mr. David Graham, Executive Director of the British Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. David will talk about the Chamber's work on GBA and the opportunities and challenges arising from the initiatives in the eyes of foreign investors. May I now invite Mr. Graham. Thank you.
Thank you, CM, and welcome. As CM says, I'm the Executive Director at the British Chamber here in Hong Kong, and I'm actually a lawyer by training, so I feel in very good company given everybody who's on this webinar. But rather than talk about legal services, I'm going to talk for a few minutes just generally about what the Chamber has been doing in relation to the GBA opportunity, and some thoughts around what I think is needed to make this a success going forward and what some of the challenges are. As a chamber, and as we talk to our members, we see the GBA as really providing a major strategic opportunity for Hong Kong to develop its economic and business role, and really to leverage the strengths that come from the one country, two systems, including the legal system, the financial expertise, the unparalleled business connectivity, and to make a central contribution to the overall GBA strategy. We also see it as really an opportunity to reset the world view of Hong Kong and really demonstrate and solidify what its role is going to be vis-a-vis the mainland going forward, with Asia more generally and also globally. And we believe the business community has a critical role to play in helping the Hong Kong government both to formulate a strategy around the GBA and also to come forward with some concrete suggestions for implementation. So what have we been doing as a chamber? So if you go back a couple of years now, we joined together with our sister organizations on the mainland, which is really the British chambers in southern China, Macau. We joined with the CBBC, which is the China-Britain Business Council, and the CBI to form an inter-organization working group, which we called the Gba Business Network. And the purpose of this was really to collaborate in areas such as sharing of information and insights, some joint member events, and also arranging business exchanges between member companies across the GBA, so that our members got a greater understanding of the opportunities, but also greater access to those opportunities. The group had its initial meeting in Shenzhen in 2019, and the plan was to hold regular meetings thereafter. Not surprisingly, COVID has got a little bit in the way, and it's meant that the recent meetings have all been held virtually. But nevertheless, they have taken place. We had one, in fact, earlier this week, and I was on a call with the CBBC this morning. So that exchange of ideas and dialogue is beginning to increase. And we see this very much as a partnership. This is not something Hong Kong can dictate, and it's something that they need to work in collaboration with the other cities on the mainland. Beyond the GBA Business Network, we've also submitted 2 very detailed position papers to the Hong Kong government. These are available on our website, and I'd encourage people to view those if they've not already done so. And these followed a request which came direct from the Hong Kong Chief Executive, asking the business community to provide input into the GBA initiative. Our first submission was over a year ago, and it basically dealt with big themes, but also detailed recommendations across 5 key sectors: financial services, logistics, healthcare, education, energy and environment. And then we had 90 minutes with the Chief Executive and a number of her senior cabinet colleagues to discuss the paper and its recommendations. And we ended up doing follow-up papers, both on education and on healthcare, which are seen as important components of GBA from a Hong Kong perspective. We then followed up later in the year with a second paper, which covered real estate, construction and infrastructure, information and technology, SMEs, retail and hospitality, professional services, dispute resolution, and diversity and inclusion. And I think these 2 papers illustrate the breadth of the GBA opportunity. Whilst a lot of attention has obviously been on the financial services, this is a much broader initiative. It's not just about exporting the financial services expertise onto the mainland. We've also formed an internal GBA working group within the Chamber, which sits underneath our China Committee, which is a standing committee, and it coordinates all our GBA related activities and is really a sounding board inside the Chamber for those members interested in the GBA. And then finally, as many in Hong Kong will know, we held a GBA summit in June this year, which brought together a number of key stakeholders in relation to the GBA across government, business leaders and academics to discuss matters of interest. And this again was opened by the Hong Kong Chief Executive, and Invest Hong Kong were in fact sponsors of that summit. What I think is clear and was clear from the summit was that we need to move from GBA being effectively an aspiration and a high-level concept into some detailed practical implementation so that we can showcase specific projects where GBA has delivered a positive outcome and thereby build some momentum. And companies need information and education as to how to navigate the opportunities and how to overcome the challenges. Appointment of a GBA commissioner in Hong Kong was a good start. Creation of the Go GBA platform as the one-stop shop was also very, very beneficial. And the things that Jimmy talked about where to go to get some of this information and the work that Invest Hong Kong is doing is very important in that regard. But we need to do more around that. If you go back to the outline development plan, it essentially identified 6 specific areas for Hong Kong. First one was the International Financial, Transportation and Trade Center, as well as an international aviation hub. Second, to strengthen its status as a global offshore renminbi business hub with international asset and risk management. Thirdly, promote high-end, value-added financial, commercial and trading, logistics and professional services. Fourthly, develop innovation and technology industries and nurture emerging industries. Fifthly, and important for this group, establish itself as a center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the Asia-Pacific region. And finally, develop into an international metropolis with enhanced competitiveness. As Jimmy's already said, this was reinforced in the 14th five-year plan, which for the first time referred to Hong Kong being a hub for arts and cultural exchanges between China and the rest of the world. And as a chamber, we're very focused on promoting creative industries in Hong Kong and then leveraging those into the GBA. And then very recently, again, as Jimmy said, we've seen the announcements in relation to developments in Shanghai and Hong Kong. These are very positive. And the Shanghai plan specifically refers to enhancing the level of opening up of legal affairs to the outside world and building an international, interregional commercial dispute settlement platform. But as commentators and we as the Chamber have said, we now need to see concrete measures to speed up cross-border collaboration and a clear timeline for implementing them. In many ways, and I've said this in other fora, I see parallels between the European Union and the GBA initiative. And I think we can look across to the European Union for some of the some precedents as to what we might need to do in the GBA. And I realize it's somewhat ironical that I'm speaking to you as a Brit when we've just left the EU. So that is somewhat ironical. The EU, as most of you will know, is a political and economic union of 27 member states located primarily in Europe, and establishes a single market through a standardized systems of laws that apply to all member states. And EU policies ensure the free movement of people, goods, services, and capital within the internal market. They enact legislation in justice and home affairs and maintain common policies on trade. Passport controls have been abolished, and a monetary union was established between 19 of those member states. Like the European Union, the GBA is about free movement of capital, people, goods, and services, and increasingly data. It's about making these as frictionless as possible. It's about creating common standards and regulation. It's about leveraging the strengths and individual characteristics of those member states involved. So in terms of policies, I think there's some benefit in studying the EU and coming up with a partnership model with institutions that support that, whereby individuals can travel freely within the GBA, tax harmonization or concessions are available, regulation around professional services, including legal services and licensing is harmonized, and dispute resolution to an international standard is available, and Hong Kong can clearly take the lead there. We've made some good starts here, but a number of other schemes are needed to take that forward. And we need some institutions across the GBA to administer these different policies, just as there have been in the EU. I'd also just quickly like to mention the Stock Connect programs, which again, those in Hong Kong will be familiar with. This was actually developed a few years ago when I was actually working at the Hong Kong Stock Exchange for stocks listed in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, and allows such stocks to be traded under home rules within a closed loop, where there's no risk of capital flight. It's been a very successful program and is a great illustration of the role of Hong Kong as a super connector. In that case, connecting international capital and companies and mainland money and investors. The connector role and the stock exchange model can be used more broadly, I'd suggest, for the GBA. We're already far advanced in relation to the recently announced Wealth Connect, and southbound Bond Connect was talked about this morning, and they both adopt a similar model. And there are ongoing discussions around Insurance Connect, and the exchange has floated in the past the idea of Primary Connect for IPOs and Commodities Connect. These could be pivoted towards the GBA and be a poster child, I suggest, for GBA initiatives and Hong Kong's role within the GBA. I also think we can make more use of the mutual recognition schemes, such as exist for funds, which can be helpful in fostering greater cooperation and partnership. It's clear that one size will not fit all. Different models and policies will be needed in different areas, and lawyers clearly will have a key role to play in advising how that can be done. So CM, with that, I'll conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for your very inspirational speech. I particularly like the part you talk about the comparison between the EU experience about the freedom movement of goods and people. Very, very inspiring indeed. Thank you, David. May I also remind the audience again, please make use of the chat box if you have any, or the Q&A icon if you have any questions. I actually see that there's a friend from Malaysia as well, from Sabah. So hello there, a friend from Sabah and Zimbabwe. So moving on, without further ado, our last speaker of today, Ms. Melissa Pang. Melissa Pang is the immediate past president of the Law Society of Hong Kong, my predecessor. She will share with us the unique advantages of Hong Kong's legal service and the enormous opportunities arising from the GBA development for the legal sector. Ms. Pang, please, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, President Chan. Hello, everyone. Good day, good afternoon, good morning. First, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Melissa Pang. It gives me great pleasure to share with you the development on the Greater Bay Area from the eyes of legal practitioners. In the next 10 minutes, I will discuss the unique advantages of Hong Kong's legal services, the works of Law Society on the GBA, and the golden opportunities for the legal sector arising from various national initiatives. Hong Kong enjoys a terrific geographical advantage, and Hong Kong is well equipped with world-class financial and legal system with a diverse talent pool, which allow Hong Kong to serve as a two-way gateway connecting the Greater China and international markets. Hong Kong has a well-established legal system, firmly based on the rule of law and independent judiciary, under the principle of one country, two systems. Hong Kong legal system is based on the common law as entrenched in the basic law. Being the only common law jurisdiction within China, our trusted legal system of Hong Kong is always the cornerstone of Hong Kong's success. Hong Kong's judiciary is well respected globally for its independence, quality, and transparency. For instance, according to the World Justice Project, Hong Kong has been ranked number 5 in East Asia and Pacific region and number 16 globally in the Rule of Law Index since 2016. It shows Hong Kong's commitment in safeguarding the rule of law. Also, according to the Global Competitiveness Report 2019, published by the World Economic Forum, Hong Kong ranked number 8 globally and number 2 in Asia for its judicial independence. Now we're going to talk about the quality manpower in Hong Kong. With a vibrant economy and robust legal system, apart from a very strong local legal talents, Hong Kong has attracted overseas legal talents with diverse legal expertise. As at end of August this year, in addition to more than the 11,000 Hong Kong practicing solicitors, we have around 1,500 registered foreign lawyers from 33 different overseas jurisdictions. So you can see Hong Kong is truly an international legal hub. When you are structuring a deal in Hong Kong, it's very easy for you to find legal expert to give you the relevant advice at the relevant jurisdictions. So that's the ease and the beauty of Hong Kong as an international legal hub. And along with Hong Kong local firms, we have 941 local Hong Kong firms. We have 85 foreign law firms. Also, there are 37 associations, which is like association between mainland law firms and Hong Kong law firms in Hong Kong. And also, there are 72 representatives of office of Hong Kong law firms in 12 cities of the mainland. you can see that being equipped with top-notch local and international legal capabilities, solicitors in Hong Kong are able to provide one-stop legal service to meet different clients' needs. Also in different legal areas, such as like finance, securities, international trade, cross-border transactions, intellectual property. Next, we're going to talk about Hong Kong as an international dispute resolution center. Hong Kong is a neutral dispute resolution venue with world-class arbitration and mediation institutions, such as the HKIAC, the ICC, and also CITEC. And with arbitration professionals, they can provide efficient and reliable dispute resolution services. And since 2015, according to the International Arbitration Surveys conducted by Queen Mary University of London, Hong Kong has been among the top 5 preferred seats for arbitration globally. Also, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report 2019, Hong Kong has also been ranked number 3 globally in the efficiency of legal framework in settling disputes. And now I'm going to move on to talk about what Law Society of Hong Kong have done regarding the GBA development. We can see that GBA is a very hot topic. And actually, since the signing of the GBA framework agreement back in 2017, the Law Society of Hong Kong has set up its GBA subcommittee. We actively reach out to lawyers association in the GBA, and we organize events relating to the GBA. On top of the visit to the 9 cities in the GBA in 2019 and 2018, Law Society has also stepped up communication with our counterparts in the GBA. We have a joint meeting mechanism. So the Law Society of Hong Kong, Guangdong Lawyers Association, and Macau Lawyer Association, we take turns in hosting meetings to foster professional exchanges. Since December 2018, we are pleased to report we have held 8 joint meetings. And to help our members to prepare for the growth and opportunity in the GBA, the Law Society has organized an extensive range of events regarding the GBA, including a webinar series named Laws in the Greater Bay Area, as well as webinar on opportunities for Hong Kong's legal industry in the Greater Bay Area. With more than 86 million population and over 60,000 lawyers in the GBA, we can see the GBA is a vast market with huge potential business opportunities. Under the development of the Belt and Road Initiative and the GBA, there has been a growing amount of commercial and investment activities between Hong Kong and mainland China. And they also involve various cross-border disputes. We can see Hong Kong's unique advantages is well noted by the central government. And Hong Kong is positioned as a center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the Asia-Pacific region. This is clearly stated in the outline development plan for the GBA. And this status was further reinforced under the dual circulation of the National 14th Five-Year Plan. This positioning allows Hong Kong to leverage on its experience and expertise in dispute resolution and legal professions to handle disputes and meet the demand for high-quality legal services in the GBA. Now I'm going to move on to talk about the GBA Legal Professional Exam. We all heard about the GBA Legal Professional Exam that took place in July this year. Actually, we have been lobbying for this reciprocal recognition of practice experience for Hong Kong solicitor since 2003. So now, upon passing the legal qualifying exam, then the Hong Kong lawyer will be able to practice in the GBA. And this GBA exam, those eligible to sit for the exam, they have to be Hong Kong and Macau legal practitioners with 5 years or above post-qualification practice experience. And upon passing the GBA exam, they will be qualified to deal with civil and commercial legal matters, including litigation and non-litigation matters in the 9 mainland cities of the GBA. So it's indeed a very good news and good opportunity for all the lawyers in Hong Kong and Macau. And the first exam was held on 31st of July. We have 655 candidates from Hong Kong sitting for the exam. Initially, the exam is planned to be held in mainland, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, new examination venue was set up in Hong Kong, in addition to those in Shenzhen and Zhuhai. It is more convenient for the Hong Kong candidates. And if for those who manage to pass the exam, there will be practical training courses on mainland law to be offered by the Department of Justice and mainland units, such as the Supreme People's Court. We can actually see that the GBA examination has laid a foundation on cooperation and deepening exchanges among the legal sectors in the GBA. This surely can achieve more mutual benefits for all. The Qinghai Plan was newly promulgated by the central government on the 6th of September, under which Qinghai will be developed into a new platform for Qinghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong cooperation in areas of financial services, innovation and technology, legal services, and business environment. We can see even the total size of Qinghai cooperation zone will be expanded by 8 times, from the original area of 15 square kilometers to the new plan 120 square kilometers. And in respect of the legal and dispute resolution methods, 5 major measures were set out in the Qinghai Plan, including, number 1, exploring ways to improve the mechanism for wholly owned Hong Kong enterprise to adopt Hong Kong law and choose for arbitration to be seated in Hong Kong. Number 2, establish a new mechanism for civil and commercial judicial assistance and exchanges. Number 3, deepening the reform of the partnership association mechanism. And number 4, supporting and encouraging the establishment of representative offices. And 5thly, jointly promoting the international commercial dispute resolution business. So we can see with the implementation of the Qinghai Plan, in addition to the current 10 law firms jointly run by the Hong Kong and mainland lawyers incorporated in Qinghai, I truly believe more and more joint venture law firms will be set up in Qinghai to provide cross-border legal services. And actually, a lot of our members have been asking about the development in Qinghai and how they should plan to start setting up law firm jointly with our mainland counterparts. And in conclusion, I would say with the abundance of Hong Kong multi-jurisdictional legal talents, our international connections, experience, and expertise in handling cross-border transactions. I am confident that Hong Kong, as well as our legal professionals, are well placed to tap into the opportunities of the GBA. Hong Kong Law Society will surely continue our efforts to open up new horizons for our members. Thank you.
Very much, Melissa, for a very inspiring speech. I can see a lot of great potential opportunities for the Hong Kong legal professionals. This is now the time for Q&A. I've received a number of questions, so maybe I can go to the speakers one by one. The first question I've got is for Dr. Jimmy Chiang. This is a webinar for legal professionals, of course, mainly. So the first question is about the lawyers. How can local and overseas legal professionals collaborate with Invest Hong Kong? Like Jimmy said earlier, that Invest Hong Kong is a government department helping foreign investors to invest in Hong Kong. So the question is, how can local and overseas legal professionals collaborate with Invest Hong Kong? Jimmy, how do you answer that question?
Thank you, President Chen. That's an interesting question. As I mentioned during my presentation, Invest Hong Kong is very keen to work together with both local and overseas legal professionals for mutual benefits. I guess if you are a foreign law firm, definitely Invest Hong Kong would like to support you if you would like to set up a presence in Hong Kong, working in collaboration with the Law Society of Hong Kong to help you set up your base, your company smoothly. And in our head office, we have a team, the Business and Professional Services team, headed up by my colleague Herman. They're very experienced in supporting foreign law firms to set up in Hong Kong. So there are a lot of resources at Invest Hong Kong that you can leverage if you are interested in establishing here. And of course, for both local lawyers or local law firms and foreign law firms, we always encourage more mutual referrals between us of companies looking to set up or expanding in Hong Kong and the GBA. And also Invest Hong Kong will be very happy to share the latest market developments or policy regulation information with your partners or even your clients through some roundtable meetings, virtual conferences, whatever suitable means to share more in-depth information and exchanges with you. And also we may even partner in certain promotional events, leveraging both the networks of Invest Hong Kong and your law firms to create synergies and achieve a bigger impact. And also for us to jointly explain the GBA narrative more effectively to the target audience. So I guess off the top of my head, these are some areas that Invest Hong Kong may collaborate with you in the future for our mutual benefits.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yes, certainly I look forward to working even closer with Invest Hong Kong. May I now turn to David? There's a question for you. In your presentation and also in Melissa's presentation, there's a talk about Qianhai, which is one of the latest development in the Greater Bay Area. For those who are not familiar with GBA, Qianhai is actually a small area When I say small, it's actually more than 100 square kilometers. Square kilometers in Shenzhen, which is the adjoining city next to Hong Kong. There was a new announcement last week about further opening up of this particular Qianhai area and Hangqing, which is near Macau, as pilot schemes. What do you see the opportunities for this new initiative under the GBA, David?
Thank you, CM. Look, I think this is a very interesting development because I think it demonstrates how we now see the GBA initiative being rolled out. So instead of, I mean, there's been the GBA itself, as people have illustrated through the various slides that have been produced, is a huge area. And really, in many ways, the size of it, the number of cities involved, has meant that you had a very fragmented approach to what was going to happen in GBA. I think now that the central government has come out with these two essentially pilot schemes or enhancement of existing pilot schemes, I think they're going to use those as poster childs for the rest of the GBA. And I think if we look at the two different plans, the Tinhai is very interesting from a Hong Kong perspective, and I think it will be a microcosm of what we can do in other parts of GBA, but it's a more manageable piece of business. Geographically, it's very close to Hong Kong. We're already familiar with it because for me, I mean, I worked at the stock exchange, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, before I did this role, and we set up a commodities exchange from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in Tinhai, and it looked very similar to the London Metal Exchange that we'd set up in London. And it's a great illustration of how you can take some of the legal concepts, the trading concepts, and you move them from Hong Kong and you put them on the mainland. And so I think the fact that Tinhai is now going to be 8 times bigger than it was, I think is a fantastic opportunity. And I think Melissa spoke very well about the opportunities. This is a great opportunity for the lawyers to establish joint firms, to get themselves qualified to practice in Tinhai. And if we can establish an early bedrock of dispute resolution being done under Hong Kong rules with Hong Kong legal stuff, that will cement, I think, Hong Kong's role in the GBA. And as I say, be a bit of a poster child for what the future can look like. So I think that's very exciting. The Hangqing announcement, which is really focused very much on Macau, is actually very interesting because it has a lot more detail than the Tinhai announcement has. And it basically sets up, I was talking earlier when I was kind of giving the parallel to the European Union, you need to create some institutions which are like partnership institutions to make this work and to regulate it. And if you look at the Hangqing announcement, that has some institutions embedded in it, whereby there is going to be a bit of a partnership model between Macau and the central government and the local governments to make that work. And that's, I think, a very good illustration of how the GBA is going to have to develop if it's going to be successful. We're going to have that partnership model. So I think the last 2 weeks have been a very interesting period of time for this whole initiative, and certainly as far as Hong Kong's concerned. And I think you put on top of that Wealth Connect, and you put on top of that Southbound Bond Connect, and we've had a huge amount of momentum in a very, very short space of time, and I think a very good direction of travel. So I'm very excited about that.
Thank you, David. I totally agree with your analysis. The fact that the central government made new announcements on Qianhai and Hangqing means that they really refocus, or shall I put it, in the GBA area, which is a very, very important step. And Hong Kong legal professionals should pay heed to these developments. I'm aware of the time, so can I go to Melissa? for a question. I actually have a number of questions on the webpage. I don't think we have time to go over all of them, but in general, there's a question about young lawyers. They want to take the GBA exam, but the requirements is you need to have 5 years post-qualification experience to take it. So the young lawyers may not be able to fully participate. So in general, how do you see the future for Hong Kong young lawyers, Melissa?
Yeah. Okay. I think first we have to go back to the basic about like Hong Kong's population and like our legal positioning. First, like in Hong Kong, we have around like 12,000 solicitors, and for barrister we have around like just over 1,500. And when you look at the population of Hong Kong, it's around 7.6 million. So every 600 people, that's like around one lawyer. Truly, if we just look at the domestic market, the cake is not big enough for the lawyers. But so that's why we have to make the cake bigger, and we have to look broader. Hong Kong's lawyer, we're all well equipped to like serve international clients, and we're also our mainland clients. And we have been doing that for the last 30, 40 years since the opening up of since 1978. So I think that is very important. We got the experience. And Hong Kong is a very open economy, especially for the solicitor branch. We actually have an open policy to welcome overseas lawyers to come to Hong Kong to practice law of your own jurisdiction. We always welcome that. We have been doing that since 1994. So 27 years ago, we started that. This is actually in line with the open economy. Now we're talking about in the Greater Bay Area. So we can see there's a lot of opportunities. But I mean, for Hong Kong lawyers, we have to get out of the comfort zone. We have to look broader. We have to be aware of all the national initiatives and be ready to have some changes. I mean, I can expect there's a lot of changes brought along because of technology, brought because of COVID-19. So it is a time of change. It is a time of change. And some people ask me, is this the best of time or is this the worst of time? It all depends on your own attitude, how you look at it. I mean, to me and many others, it is the time of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities for Hong Kong lawyers and also for lawyers around the world. Hong Kong legal scene, we have open door policy. You're welcome to come along and come to Hong Kong to be a registered foreign lawyer or open your foreign law firm. I mean, check out the website of Law Society, and there's a lot of information on that. And also check out like Invest Hong Kong. They have a very good website too. Thank you.
And also British Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. Check out their website as well. Thank you very much, Melissa. Very, very good answers. And in fact, the answers will answer the questions raised in the chat room and Q&A. I don't have time to go through each and every one of them. But like Melissa said, the Hong Kong Law Society adopts an open door policy. You are welcome as a foreign lawyer to come to Hong Kong, register with us, open your foreign firm. As long as you are not doing Hong Kong law, you are more than welcome to do it. If you really want to become a Hong Kong lawyer, there is actually a route for you, provided that you pass certain exams, then you can actually become a Hong Kong lawyer as well. But we don't have time for that. So I think time is up. Well, thank you once again for all your participation and contribution. I do have big faith in the GBA area. Do keep an eye on the development from the news and the websites referred to by Melissa. Thank you all, and goodbye and good night.